An Israeli Hawkish minister has again unleashed a torrent of vitriolic rhetoric, publicly rejecting calls for a truce with Lebanon and doubling down on a confrontational posture that critics warn could further inflame an already volatile border situation and complicate diplomatic efforts to de-escalate. Ben-Gvir escalated his rhetoric even further, declaring on the record that Lebanon is effectively Israel's playground, a provocative phrase that prompted immediate outrage from regional observers and raised concerns about the potential normalization of aggressive policy language toward a sovereign neighbor. Amid revelations, reported privately and hinted at in media leaks, about a secret Hezbollah-linked airport, a senior minister allied with Prime Minister Netanyahu has defiantly suggested a hardline response, language and posture that some interpret as tacit permission for sustained military pressure rather than pursuing negotiated restraint. Israel's national security minister, Ben-Gvir, has publicly rejected calls for a ceasefire in Lebanon, reiterating a hardline stance that signals a readiness to continue military pressure rather than pause hostilities even as diplomats and aid agencies urge restraint to prevent further civilian suffering. According to a report in Safak, Ben-Gvir went further by describing Lebanon as Israel's playground, a provocative remark that has stirred condemnation from regional actors and analysts who say such language risks normalizing aggressive policy and undermining any prospects for de-escalation or diplomatic engagement. The Israeli minister said, and I quote, "Trump is a true friend, and we must treat him politely and embrace him, but we need to tell him that we cannot agree to a ceasefire in Lebanon. We are the ones making decisions, and there are good results for our soldiers," unquote. Israeli media have reported that officials in Tel Aviv fear a US-Iran agreement could strengthen Tehran, arguing that any diplomatic or economic concessions might embolden Iran's regional influence and complicate Israel's security calculations by reducing incentives for Tehran to moderate its behavior. Israeli officials are increasingly concerned that President Trump's understanding with Iran could expand Tehran's influence across Lebanon and the wider region. According to reports, Israeli leaders fear the agreement may restrict Israel's freedom to act militarily against Hezbollah when it sees a security threat. Much of the concern reportedly centers on Lebanon-related provisions included in the broader US-Iran diplomatic framework. The announcement of a new deconfliction mechanism following the Switzerland talks has also raised alarm bells among Israeli officials and security planners. The interim US-Iran agreement called for an end to military hostilities across multiple fronts, including the conflict in Lebanon. However, Israeli officials signaled that they are not prepared to halt operations solely because of commitments made under the agreement. In a June 22 statement, Israel made clear that it intends to continue military operations in southern Lebanon despite the broader diplomatic framework. Israel PM statement read, and I quote, "Joint statement by the Prime Minister, Minister of Defense and the Chief of the General Staff. A short while ago, a discussion took place between the Prime Minister, the Minister of Defense, the Chief of the General Staff, and the Commander of the Northern Command. The IDF will continue to act with determination in order to neutralize threats against our soldiers and our citizens, demolish terrorist infrastructure, and maintain the security zone in southern Lebanon." The Prime Minister, the Minister of Defense, and the Chief of the General Staff made it clear that the security of Israeli citizens and IDF forces will remain their guiding principle without compromise, unquote. The growing dispute over Lebanon is rapidly emerging as one of the first major tests of President Trump's new agreement with Iran. For Israel, the central question is whether the deal will weaken Hezbollah's capabilities or ultimately help Iran rebuild and expand its influence across the region. According to a report by Israel Hayom, the IDF's 551st Brigade captured the Majd al-Zaun area in southern Lebanon during operations targeting what Israel described as a key Hezbollah position. The report stated that Majd al-Zaun had served as a strategic Hezbollah stronghold, with the group's elite Radwan force allegedly using the area as a significant operational base. According to Israeli claims, Hezbollah had converted apartments located on a ridge overlooking the region into drone launch positions from where UAVs were allegedly launched towards Israeli territory. Israeli forces also reported discovering large quantities of weapons, anti-tank missile launchers, combat equipment, and other militant infrastructure inside the Majd al-Zaun area. Reports added that the 551st Brigade had suffered the loss of 22 soldiers during its operations across multiple battlefronts, including fighting in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria. One of the force commanders of the IDF, Lieutenant Colonel B, told Israel Hayom, and I quote, As the troops advanced through the village, it became clear that almost every house was part of the defensive system protecting the underground infrastructure. Every house we reached was prepared with heavy weapons to delay the IDF maneuver. In practice, we understood that it was meant to protect the underground, the strategic infrastructure that they had apparently invested decades in building. We understood that it was not really civilian, but a full-blown Hezbollah village. We worked for many long days to locate the infrastructure, until we struck the tunnel route. When we discovered the tunnel, we were surprised by its size, its length, and also by the things we found inside it.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.